So the internet has lit on fire a little bit regarding PlayStation and Sony's recent hiring listing that apparently means they're going to be hiring somebody who's going to be in charge of multi-platform video games. Now, people are making this into a pretty big deal. I don't understand why that is. I've seen a couple of posts on X that were borderline trollish, but for the most part, it just seems like people are unhappy, or at least, major Sony fans are unhappy about this. And I have to question, why is that? It just seems a little bit odd to me. I understand that people have been growing up in this world where console wars were a thing, but I feel like console wars have died pretty much a long time ago. The only company that is still doing exclusivity is basically just Nintendo. Nintendo is doing exclusivity on their first party games because they obviously want everybody to go to Nintendo. They have a very old school mindset, and it's going to take a lot for Nintendo to ever change, and that's if they ever do, which again, I highly doubt. Now, Sony fans seem to be a little bit upset about this. Some people who are Sony fans are saying it's not a big deal and they're fine with it, but it just seems to lead down the path of like console wars again, and I just don't understand what exactly is going on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the new job that's being hired for, what their exact role is, and what they are going to do for the future of Sony and PlayStation. So the headline from Insider Gaming reads, Sony wants to bring PlayStation games beyond PlayStation hardware, including to Xbox as well. I don't think this really should be very shocking, considering that Xbox is doing the same exact thing too. As I said, the only one that's not doing this is Nintendo, but Xbox is doing this, PlayStation is doing this. We've seen their games go on the PC platform for a while now. And the hilarious thing is, one of their games, being Helldivers 2, exploded exponentially when it went on the PC platform. Helldivers 2 would not be anything close to what it is today if it wasn't for the success that it had on the PC platform. That's just being real with you, right? So there are ways that you could definitely expand the game and try to garner more fans, more favor. Some games will do it, not every game will, but there are going to be games that will succeed multi-plat and should be multi-plat in my opinion. But Sony is hiring for a new position that will help expand PlayStation's reach beyond PlayStation hardware. According to a job posting, Sony is working to bring PlayStation games to platforms such as Steam, Epic Games Store, Nintendo Mobile, and yes, even Xbox. Now, what I will say is that it's not just Nintendo technically doing exclusives. Epic Games is also doing exclusives, which I cannot stand. I absolutely hate it. I don't understand why Epic Games decides to be the one of the only people on PC that is trying to do exclusives, and they're doing that to try to compete with Steam, and it's not working, right? It's never worked. They could do exclusives as much as they want. They did an exclusive with Alan Wake 2, and Alan Wake 2 had to drag its feet to royalties, right? It took forever for them to finally get to the point of making royalties, but they could have did it a lot faster, way quicker, to be honest with you, if they would have released on Steam. But again, since they were personally involved with Epic Games required exclusivity, all that nonsense. It really is just anti-consumer at the end of the day. Epic Games should really stop that nonsense. But I wanted to make sure I got that in the video because I didn't want to forget that. The new role is going to be called a Senior Director of Multi-Platform and Account Management and will report directly to Sony's Vice President. Sony says that the Senior Director will play a critical leadership role in shaping and executing the global commercial strategy for PlayStation Studio software titles across all digital platforms beyond PlayStation hardware, including Steam, Epic Game Store, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. In today's digital age, it has gotten to a point where exclusivity is really not necessary to sell hardware anymore. I feel like people have already made their decision if they're going to be a Sony fan or they're going to be an Xbox fan or if they're going to be a Nintendo fan. Regardless, Nintendo is in its own little bubble, and Sony and Xbox have been going at it for many, many years now. But Xbox has made it very clear that they essentially just want to be a publisher at this point, which is why they're going so hardcore into Xbox Game Pass. That is what they care about. That's their end game. That's always been their end games, at least for the last 5-10 years now. That's been their end game. Sony, on the other hand, is still trying to be somewhat of a console platform. They don't necessarily just want to be a publisher, but they're also not going to turn down extra customers by releasing their games on PC and on Xbox. There's no reason to, right? So these companies doing this should not be very shocking, and I don't understand why people are getting so up in arms about this. But the overview continues that this role is accountable for optimizing title profitability ensuring cross-functional alignment and leading a high-performing team focused on a multi-platform expansion, mid-range commercial planning, and a platform partner management. As far as the responsibilities for the job, Sony says that this person will oversee the out-of-year mid-range commercial strategy for PlayStation Studio titles across all non-PlayStation platforms, driving long-term revenue growth and audience reach overall. So whoever takes on this new role will also lead a team of managers and directors involved in multi-platform strategies, sales, and platform planning for Xbox and PC. So ultimately what this means is that exclusivity is dead. Right? Exclusivity is pretty much completely dead at this point. The only form of exclusivity you might see is timed exclusivity, where maybe it's like 6 months to a year. I don't even know if it's going to be that long, to be honest with you. I really think that they're going to completely do away with all forms of exclusivity at this point and just release the game multi-platform day one. I feel like that would be the smartest thing to do to garner the most amount of money they possibly can up front while the game is maximum retail price, instead of releasing the game a year later when it's not a new game anymore and people pay way less than they would have if the game was released at day one. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is going to be their strategy moving forward. But again, it seems like they're hiring an entire massive team in order to do this. Sony's further expansion into releasing its first-party games shouldn't be a surprise after the company announced that it's bringing Helldivers 2 to Xbox in August. As for whether older titles like God of War or The Last of Us eventually make their way to Microsoft's console, well, that's something that fans will have to wait and see on. I think eventually we are going to see games like God of War and The Last of Us show up on Xbox. I know everybody's gonna like just blow up and just ignite when they see games like that show up on Xbox, but at the end of the day, it's gonna happen. It's only a matter of time. They love re-releasing The Last of Us. They love reselling The Last of Us, and any excuse for Sony to resell The Last of Us and Naughty Dog to resell it, they absolutely will. I've seen people trying to blame Xbox for this. I've seen people trying to blame Forza for this. I've seen people trying to blame everything they possibly can for this, but the simple fact is the market is deciding this, right? The market is absolutely deciding for this to happen. Once they got a taste of what it was like to release certain games on PC and get massive success from it, it was only a matter of time before they would go to repeat the process. I don't care how big of a console fanboy you might be, but at the end of the day, PC gaming is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. It is absolutely exponentially increasing to the point where there is a lot of sales to be made here on the PC platform, and they know it, and we proved it. We proved it time and time again. Look what happened with Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade sold 1 million copies in just a couple of days on PC when it took it a month to sell 1 million copies on PS5. Again, I'm not saying PC is better than anything. All I'm saying is there is money to be made here. There is sales to be made here, and these companies, they know that, and they're going to take advantage of it. And honestly, you can't really fault them for that. Unfortunately, the console fan base is just not putting up enough money to support these games long term, where they are going to have to go to other places to try to make the money. That's just how this goes, and it seems like the PC platform and Xbox is going to be the journey for PlayStation. So again, people who are mad at this, I have to question why that is. I understand what it must be like to give your full loyalty to one particular console, whether it's PlayStation or Xbox, but at a certain point you have to ask yourself, especially if you're an Xbox fan, you have to ask yourself, like, what does that even mean at this point? The Xbox executives want to try to convince you that everything is an Xbox. Xbox has completely lost its identity. PlayStation, they still have their identity for the most part, little by little, but it's starting to slowly creep into multiplat, into the point where they're probably going to start feeling what Xbox fans felt a few years ago. It's only a matter of time. So again, guys, play on the platform you want to play at. Stop having these platform wars as to what's better than what. Who cares, man? At the end of the day, if you are a gamer, pick up whatever is available to you and play games on that particular platform. If that's PC, go for it. If that's PlayStation, go for it. If that's Xbox, have fun. And if that's Nintendo, go do your thing. If that's mobile, well, you're not. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do what you want to do, whatever it is. Have fun and play your game. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Is this a big deal to you? Are you pissed off? If you're a PlayStation fan, please let me know. In all seriousness, all jokes aside, let me know how you're feeling about this. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Are you happy or are you not happy? Let me know in the comments. And again, if you enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like or subscribe. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.